Not too long ago, I went to one of these furniture stores that sells refurbished furniture and antiques. And so they kind of have these interesting pieces. And I was drawn to this one mirror. This mirror had these different Christian symbols built into the frame. So I think in one part there was like a Bible, and another part there was this image that looked like the Sacred Heart. But then right at the center at the top was an ox carrying a cross. It was an unusual image. I don't know if I've seen Christ portrayed before as an ox. And so at first it struck me as kind of a funny image. But then I was like, oh yeah, of course. Jesus himself says that he is that ox. He doesn't use those words. He says, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And then he invites us to carry that yoke and learn from him. The image of a yoke comes from the practice of having oxen carrying the plow through the field, or maybe carrying a cart with produce, or carrying people from one place to another. The yoke would be this wooden bar, this wooden beam that would be placed over the shoulder of the ox, who would then carry the load. And it's interesting as an image for Christ, because Christ, we know, will later carry a heavy wooden beam on his back as he carries his own cross to his death. There's a couple of things that strike me as particularly interesting as I'm reflecting on this today. The first thing is the fact that oxen are practically made to carry heavy burdens. They're huge animals. I mean, they can be up to 3,000 pounds just per animal. And they can pull, or they can carry a weight that is equal to or greater than that. I mean, that's a lot of weight that one creature can carry, 3,000 pounds. And so God has designed the ox to be, in some ways, that beast of burden, the one who can carry the heavy load. So Jesus, describing himself then as an ox, is pointing out that he is also made to carry burdens. He's made to carry our burdens of sin, our burdens of brokenness and death. So if we're carrying around stress or sadness or something that's just really difficult for us, if we're carrying around sin, the Lord wants to take that off of us. He is stronger than us. He's like that ox that can carry so much. He is stronger than us. He is given to us for this purpose of carrying our burden. That's the first thing that strikes me. The second thing that strikes me about this image is that a yoke can sometimes be given to just one ox. But usually a yoke is a wider thing, and it's made for two oxen. One on the shoulder to be on the shoulders of each creature, because they can carry a whole lot more weight that way, and they can do a lot more work that way. That's typically the image of walking side by side. So if Jesus intends that, now that's even more interesting to me. Jesus doesn't just want to take the load off of us. He actually wants to walk side by side with us. He wants to carry that load with us as we also carry that load. Jesus says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. So he's implying that he's got the yoke ready. We just need to step next to him, and he's going to carry that burden with us. When we do that, we learn how to walk side by side with Jesus throughout life. It reminds me of the story of Simon of Cyrene from the story of Jesus' passion. As he's carrying his cross through the crowd, Simon is pressed into service to help Jesus carry the cross. They're like those two oxen carrying that wooden beam on their shoulders because it's so heavy. In some ways, Simon is alleviating the weight. He's alleviating the load for Christ. And at the same time, Christ is then alleviating the load for Simon. They're doing this together. The same thing with us and the Lord. When we carry our cross, when we endure the sufferings and the pains and the sadnesses of life, we're doing so in some ways out of love for the Lord, to alleviate his own sufferings. And yet he's doing it as well for us. And he's got the strength. When we're weak and we can't carry anymore, he's going to carry the rest of the way. He's going to push on further on our behalf. And so this weekend, the church invites us to meditate on this passage. And we're called to walk side by side with Jesus as we carry our burdens. Because when we are yoked to Jesus, then we get to go to the Father with joy. God bless you.